Welcome to this course about leadership, getting ahead and staying ahead. There are going to be 10 short lectures. At the end of each lecture there is a cartoon drawn by my co-instructor.
You want a full reference number? 646.
And the purpose of all of this is that when you've watched the lecture and absorbed all the wonderful points I put across, you then print out the cartoon and put it on the notice board at work, or perhaps stick it on the fridge. Something to help you remember what was in the lecture. And that will enable you to get ahead and stay ahead. But this whole course is short. I may add to it during the rest of 2023, but this is all about getting ahead at the beginning. Getting ahead and staying ahead. That's what's important. So let's move on to the first lecture. This is a short lecture about resources. Now, it's not particularly for this course, so I'm going to put this lecture on a variety of different courses. And this is all about allocation of resources, allocation of your resources. In order for you to do this course, whichever course it is, you may have had to pay some money. Some students do, some students don't. Some students have free coupons, some don't. Some students pay $50, $60 for a course and then almost immediately get a refund when they're told they can get the course cheaper in a sale. They don't then re-enroll, which is always very strange. Or maybe it's just cost you a couple of dollars, or maybe you got a free coupon. It doesn't matter, because in doing the course you're spending time. So you're giving up resources. So this lecture is about using these resources, your time and maybe your money, and also your goodwill, your pleasant mood, using it appropriately and sparingly. First of all, I want to show you a review. Now, this is not a lecture about this particular review. I just want to make some points about it. It's publicly available. The name of the person is unimportant. It really doesn't matter. What I'm concerned about, well, I'll put the review up on screen now, and I'll split the screen so you see me blabbing away, to quote one reviewer, at the same time. Now, you see from this review that the person who wrote it thinks the course is absolutely awful. That's fine. If somebody thinks the course is awful, it's always helpful to know why. But if they just think it's awful, well, that's entirely up to them, and I hope that they got a refund in time. And that's the first thing. Whenever you enroll on a course, especially if you pay for it, then start it immediately. And then if you don't like it, you can get a refund. Don't wait 6 months and then think, oh, well, yeah, I think I'll start this. Oh, it's awful. I had a couple of one-star reviews recently. I do occasionally get them, and the people on the course had enrolled over a year ago. Now, leaving aside for the fact that it's possible to pay people to give bad reviews, just as it's possible to buy good reviews, leaving aside that sort of aura of suspicion, it seems a bit odd that somebody would wait a year and then suddenly do a course and then think it's rubbish, pay the 1 star, they haven't got the refund, but they have registered their disgust. But this particular review that you can see, there are several things that are strange about it. 1 star, okay, fair enough. But this person did the entire course, 100% of the course. Who does loads and loads of hours on a course they think is rubbish? It's just a waste of time. They're not allocating their resources. Clearly, they would have known in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that for them the course was rubbish. Or perhaps they could have skipped ahead, looked at some other lectures and thought, yeah, the course is rubbish. But they didn't. They did the entire course. But let's take a step further back. Before you enroll on a course, then surely before you enroll on a course, you look at reviews, maybe, but you look at preview videos. Well, if you do that, and the course has, say, 20 different preview videos, then you wouldn't find the course rubbish, unless the preview videos are incredibly different to the ones on the course. And that does seem a bit unlikely. I have a course with 800 lectures on, or 799, about 40 or 50 preview videos. And to make all those high quality and the rest of the course rubbish seems rather unlikely. So you owe it to yourself in terms of resources to look at preview videos first. In addition, this particular person was enrolled on 1,400 courses. 1,400! Then how on earth could they give this course appropriate time? More importantly, why did they enroll? It wasn't a free course, so why enroll? It's back to resources. If you overburden yourself with courses, how are you going to focus on just 1 or 2? How are you going to allocate your time accordingly? I mean, I myself am on, well, I've signed up over 3 or 4 years to about 1,600 courses, but they're in segments, like some on chatbot, some on art itself, some on business, some on personal development, some on using Microsoft Office, and I decide on a particular subject area and then watch various courses within that area. And I always leave a review, sometimes very long, often critical, but always, I hope, constructive. So use your resources, check the preview videos, maybe check the reviews themselves, see if there's a common thread among the 1 stars. He's reading from a book, the audio doesn't work, this is very boring, lectures are too long, lectures are out of date, the lectures are biased, etc. So check the reviews first, yes, look for a thread, a pattern, and then look at the preview videos. And then, if you really want to do the course, which is great, then enroll and start immediately. If you say, oh, well, it's on sale now and it may not be on sale in the future, it probably will. So that's one thing, or 1 or 2 things. Okay, what else? Well, I think you have to make some decisions. First of all, when you start the course, are you going to simply stand behind others and just carry on with the course? Remember, they started ahead of you, but you're going to ignore what they posted in the QA. Oh, personally, the QA for me is very important as a student and as an instructor. And if a course with, say, 40,000 students on has 20 posts in the QA over 3 years, then for me, that's not very useful. Not everybody takes that view, but that's my view. And so if I look at a course and it has that, then I tend to leave the course. Okay, so they've got to decide, or you've got to decide if you're enrolling, if you're going to simply stand behind others, or these are people who started ahead of you, or you're going to look at what they've posted for the lectures that you're watching, and you are therefore accompanying them, even though their post could be, say, 6 months old. For the time of that lecture, and you're reading what they wrote about the lecture, you're with them, not standing behind. Anyway, it's not a good idea to walk behind others. Really? Is it? Another thing you've got to, well, I would suggest to use your resources, use your time adequately, is that when you post in the QA or when you ask the instructor a question, then and somebody responds, particularly if you're producing artwork or you're producing solutions to economic or business problems, or you're doing case studies for counselling, or you're submitting poetry, whatever course you're doing, then when somebody acknowledges what you've written or comments, or when you comment on what they have done, then greet their comments rather like you would greet a long-lost friend. Another thing, some people who start my courses are of course new to Udemy or new to my style of lecturing, and sometimes they find the QA question answer section a bit confusing. Perhaps they're not sure where resources are, what an educational announcement is, how to follow questions and posts, what about promotional announcements, whether you can download or not, what the notes section is about, how to organise their learning. In other words, they're just bemused. Now, if someone is bemused and confused, the place to find out the answers to your questions is not to put in the review, "I found the QA very confusing." That doesn't help anybody. The thing to do is to ask about it. If the instructor doesn't answer, message the instructor directly. If the instructor still doesn't answer, and be aware that instructors post as to how long they're going to be before they answer questions, if the instructor still doesn't answer, then think about putting it in the review, "Instructor didn't answer my questions," or "Instructor deleted my questions," as I've seen on some reviews. But if you're really confused, don't be bemused. Ask. Now, when you're watching lectures, you may have a response to that lecture. And you may think, that's really good, or it's really bad, or it's really confusing, or it's really interesting, or I followed up some of those links, or I watched the full movie that you suggested on YouTube, or I read the research study, or I did look at the blogs that you suggested, or I followed up in that particular website, or I did that particular piece of work, I looked at the links in the article you supplied. In other words, you did something extra that isn't in the original lecture. In that case, why not share it with others? Perhaps in your investigation, you've discovered a new website that's not in the course you think would be of use to others. Perhaps in the announcement you recognise some of the text and you go to the website and find other areas of interest that would be of other interest to students. This is a global classroom. So share with others. You may say, Lecture 16 talks about something, say inflation in Egypt, or it talks about paintings done by people on death row, or it talks about inscriptions on gravestones, or it talks about how couples break up predominantly within a particular country in a particular age range. And I found this out. Maybe students on the course would be interested in looking at this. So have the joy of sharing. Also, by working through the course, hopefully, certainly on my courses, you will be given problems, given case studies, given homeworks to do, given articles to look at, given YouTube videos to watch, questions to answer. What's the point of having a course which is just reading off PowerPoint slides, just me reading out of a book? You may as well go to YouTube. Not only is it free, then it's more likely to be updates, I would have thought. Yes, it could be a structured course, but if there's no interaction with the instructor, it's hardly a classroom, and yet these are supposed to be classes, albeit online classes. And so, therefore, one of the things that being on any course, I would have thought, is it will improve your skills in problem solving. And it doesn't matter whether the course is about economics or business or grief or counselling or country music or art therapy or positivity. your skills on problem solving will improve. The last thing I would like to mention, and remember, this particular lecture is optional. So if you find it all rather tedious, or you don't like the little snippets I'm putting in, or you don't feel it is very useful to you, just fast forward. It's an optional lecture. And I'm just offering it to you. And sometimes I send out promotional emails, and very few students look at them, which is fine, it's entirely up to you. But also, I often send direct messages to students with free coupons to various courses. They've been contributing a lot to the question and answer section. I've just developed a new course that's to do with the course that they're currently on. I think they would like it, so I send them a free coupon. And I found that so often, students do not open their inbox. They're not even aware they've got an inbox, or that you can set it up to instantly let you know if something has come in. It is greatly to your advantage to keep as you would with email, as you would with WhatsApp and texts and Messenger and Instagram comments and YouTube comments and so on, and Twitter. Make sure that you set things up so you know when messages come. There's no point me offering you something, and because you don't look, it's the same as if you didn't want it. So, I hope you've enjoyed this lecture. The intention is for you to get more out of the resources that you are using, one of which is time, in order to watch this course. And if in the process you've laughed a bit, then that's great. And if you haven't laughed, well, so be it. As I said, it's an optional lecture, and I'm trying to get you to get the most out of your course. Thank you.